We are back, and Richard Allen has been sentenced. Let me get the link that I'm going to show. I got to send it to myself here. Just 1 second. Anthony is on his way to the press conference, and we will be joining him in just a minute, but I do want to show you what WTHR just put out. So, 1 second here. I am going to start back at the beginning. All right, I am presenting here we go. All right, let's watch this together. As you can see, it is snowing there. Oh, it's hard to move, guys. Hang on a minute here. Oh. As we can see, we've got people running out. That looks like Anya there. So I can tell you that Richard Allen has been sentenced to 130 years in prison. Yep, there's Anya, Kevin, Bob Siegel's just coming out. He's going to be doing the report here. I'm going to just fast forward here. We've got all the news crews coming. So this will start up in just a minute. Okay.
Allen, he has been sentenced to 130 years. We have a full team on the scene in Delphi. We'll start with Bob Siegel.
Her mic goes out.
Bob, 130 years you're hearing. Tell us more, please.
Felicia, I was inside the courtroom sitting right behind Richard Allen when the sentence was handed down by Judge Francis Gull. The judge said that, in her words, she said to Richard Allen, you rank right up there with the most hideous crimes that she has presided over in her 27 years as she's been presiding over criminal cases here in Indiana. For that reason, she sentenced Richard Allen to the maximum amount of time in prison that she could. Like you said, 130 years, 65 years for the murder of Abby Williams, 65 years for the murder of Libby German. She also told the court this morning that there was an extraordinary impact on the families of the two girls. She said it was a generational impact. That is actually a term that was coined by Libby's grandmother in speaking to the judge and in speaking to the courtroom, saying the impact of these murders is going to last for generations, not only for their family, but also for this community here in Carroll County. Judge Francis Gull said these families will deal with your carnage forever, as she looked directly at Richard Allen. At that point, she said, you sit there and continue to just roll your eyes at me. And it was moments after that she announced the maximum sentence that she can impose. Now, we should point out there were actually 4 murder charges against Richard Allen,
Okay.
2 for the murders of Abby, 2 for the murders of Libby. Under Indiana state law, an individual can only be sentenced for murdering an individual once. So therefore, counts 1 and 2, those were dismissed by the judge. Counts 3 and 4, again, account each of murder against Abby, and the murder of Libby. Those are what the judge ended up sentencing Allen for here this morning. He will now be assigned a public defender. The prosecutor, Nick McLellan, asked the judge to seal the autopsy photos and the crime scene photos moving forward. And those photos were a big part of this morning's hearing. The families of Abby and Libby really lashed out against the defense team, saying that they allowed through recklessness for those photos to be leaked online, causing tremendous harm to the families moving forward. And they asked the judge to really take that into consideration as well. The judge was able to take some mitigating factors into consideration when she handed down the sentences. She said that she would take into consideration that Richard Allen has no previous criminal history, but she said based on the heinous nature of the crimes, she did not give that a lot of weight. She did not give any weight to the circumstances involving what the defense had asked the judge to consider, his previous military service, and putting him behind bars would cause a hardship on his family and on Richard Allen's wife. The judge said any time that someone is put behind bars, that is a hardship to the family, so she would not take that into consideration. She did say simply the horrific nature of the crimes really played a big impact in her decision to give the maximum 130 years. Now, before the judge announced her sentence, we did get to hear from family members of the victims. We heard from Carrie Timmons, that is Libby's mother. She said that this has been absolute hell for Abby and Libby's families and friends over the last 8 years. She said she was left with a literal hole in my soul. She said she still struggles daily with guilt and anxiety. And she said, and I'll quote here, "I'll never understand how you were able to get away with this for so long," speaking directly to Richard Allen. The grandparents of both Abby and Libby also spoke to the court, at times speaking directly to Richard Allen. They said that they cannot forgive him at this point, that they hope in the future they'll be able to find that forgiveness. But right now they still sit with a tremendous amount of pain that they say will never go away. We will certainly have much more about what was said in court, about very powerful impact statements. We are expecting perhaps for the families to come out and speak with the media. We know that Indiana State Police are going to speak with the media. We expect the prosecution team to speak to the media now that Judge Fran Gull has lifted what has been a gag order for more than a year. At the very end of the hearing this morning, she said that she was officially lifting that gag order, which means now that we can hear from the parties in the case, the prosecution, the defense, the families who have not been able to speak to us throughout the course of this trial and really for more than a year now leading up to the trial. So again, we will bring you the statements that we hear from all the parties involved, and we will have more about what happened in the courtroom coming up at noon and throughout the day here on 13 News. Felicia.
But we have just a few more questions before you go. What was the reaction in the courtroom when this sentence was handed down?
Certainly not any reaction of surprise at all. The families did ask for Judge Gull to impose the maximum sentence, which is exactly what she did. I think a lot of legal observers and those of us who have been following this case all along expected that maximum sentence to be handed down. There was no reaction whatsoever from Richard Allen or from the defense team. The defense team, Felicia, didn't really say anything. They submitted a memo a couple days ago. They told the judge, we're going to let that memo speak for itself. And in that memo, they said, we're not really going to spend a lot of time trying to convince you to limit the sentence, because at this point, the defense team is putting their stock in the appeals process. They say, we are going to appeal. And at appeal, we expect that we will get a fair appeal. They've accused throughout the trial the judge of not being impartial, and they believe that they may have a better chance to be able to get all of this reversed once the case does go to the Indiana Court of Appeals.
Okay, we did know yesterday that they did not plan to speak. They did not plan to offer any words. Have there been any signs of remorse from Richard Allen throughout this process? You've been in the courtroom since day one.
So it's a good question, Felicia, because, we heard during the trial that Richard Allen, in speaking with the psychologist at the prison and in some of the things that he wrote to the warden and said to some of the guards and other inmates in prison, according to statements that he made, confessions, he wanted to apologize to the family. So far, there has been no apology. And in fact, Richard Allen and his defense team maintain that he is innocent, that he did not commit these crimes. And despite more than 60 incriminating statements that he made behind bars, they say those statements were coerced. They say that he was suffering from psychosis at the time that he made those statements and that he did not commit these crimes. Of course, a jury determined otherwise, and they believed the state's position that Richard Allen was thinking clearly when he made all of those statements. So whether those statements should have even been admitted at all and presented to the jury, that's one of the issues that we expect Richard Allen's defense team will bring up on appeal.
Heard about what a timeline for an appeal could look like.
Well, essentially, that appeal could be filed later on this afternoon if a defense team wanted to do that. But in court today, after she told Richard Allen that he was being sentenced to 130 years in prison, she asked if he wanted the judge to appoint public defenders for his appeal. He responded that he did. Traditionally, it would not be the same attorneys representing a client on appeal as during the trial. We suspect there might be the possibility that Richard Allen would want the same attorneys to represent him before the Court of Appeals. That would be somewhat unusual, but it is at least a possibility. We will wait to see who might be appointed and whether or not there might be the same attorneys. I do not think that that is something that Judge Fran Gull would choose for Richard Allen to have the same attorneys, but that decision will not be made by her.
Okay. And then you mentioned that the gag order has been lifted. Do you anticipate hearing from any other folks who have participated in this trial that we haven't necessarily heard from before? Any signs that the jury, members of the jury could speak, or that we could have any witnesses come out with more details? Any speculation on that?
I don't have speculation on that. Now that the gag order is lifted, it opens the possibility that we could hear from any of the players involved. Law enforcement, there was only one witness who spoke today, and that was Jerry Holman, who is a lead investigator for Indiana State Police. He had very strong statements that we heard as he took the stand today. He said that law enforcement put their hearts and souls into this case. And he said, I believe that Richard Allen is a danger to society because he has a lack of remorse, and that he used, in Jerry Holman's words, Richard Allen used religion to manipulate the people in his life as it pertained to this case. So we expect we're going to hear quite a bit from law enforcement here over the course of the next hour or two now that they are allowed to speak. In fact, they're going to have a press conference here that should be starting in just a little while. As far as other players, as far as Richard Allen's family, by the way, his wife and mother, who have been here throughout the entire trial, they were not in court today. And we know that in speaking with the defense attorneys, that's not because they didn't here to support him, but because Richard Allen asked for his family not to be here for the sentencing today. So whether or not we could hear from Richard Allen's families, whether or not the families of Abby and Libby are going to speak out, we don't know for sure, but we expect that they're going to. And we should point out that as part of their victim impact statements today, they spoke over and over again about their appreciation and gratitude to law enforcement, to the prosecutor and to the prosecution team, to the entire community for their love and support that they've received throughout this entire process. I anticipate they may want to reiterate those statements again directly to the community and to the people who they are so grateful for their help. So speaking publicly and on camera would give them a chance to do that later today.
Okay, Bob Siegel, we know that you just got this information and you brought it to us as soon as possible. We know that there's still an active scene to kind of work and kind of get the lay of the land. We appreciate you standing out in the cold and the snow to bring us this information. Bob Siegel reporting live in Carroll County Courthouse in Delphi. We will check back in. We know we have rest of our team members also out there reporting. Let's recap. We just received this breaking news into our newsroom. Richard Allen has been sentenced to 130 years in the murders of Abby Williams and Libby German. We know that the gag order has been lifted. We also have heard about the reaction in the courtroom from Bob Siegel saying that it wasn't much of a reaction from the defense side or from Richard Allen, and that his family was not present, as that was a request from Richard Allen specifically. We will continue, of course, to cover this. We're going to be streaming live at an expected news conference with the girls' families and the prosecutor. We're told that that should be happening shortly. You can watch that live on WTHR+. All right, so we there as well monitoring that. We're going to have more on 13 News at noon, which is coming up in less than an hour and a half. And we're going to have much more on the Delphi debrief tonight on WTHR+. We want to get you back to your regularly scheduled program. But again, Richard Allen just sentenced to 130 years for the murders of Abby Williams and Libby German. Stay with.
All right, everybody. So there you have it. We know that Patty spoke today. We know that Carrie Timmons spoke today. We know that Abby and Libby's grandparents spoke today, and Mike and Becky Patty. So there was 4 charges. Like they said, you can only be charged or convicted once for a murder. So charges 1 and 2 were dropped, and he was sentenced to 65 years for the death of Abby and 65 years for the death of Libby. Okay? Gag order is lifted. Now, does that mean they're going to release his interrogations and the bridge guy video and all that? We're going to have to wait and see what is coming up with that, because we know that an appeal is being filed. The defense has already had documents out on that. Let's see here. And the gag order is, like I said, the gag order is lifted. So if any jurors or witnesses want to speak, they are now free to do that. Yes, in there, it did state that he was rolling his eyes at Judge Gull. Also stated that he did not want his family to be there. So he asked his family not to show up. So his wife and his mother and his family were not in the courtroom today. CJK says, at a loss for words for the families, other than I'm thinking of them. Exactly. We're all thinking of them at this time. We are waiting for the press conference to start. Anthony is on his way there. So we are just waiting for that to get underway. Okay, it says Anthony is already at the location of the press conference. Awesome. So I'm sure he'll be joining us when he gets a chance, and we will show you that press conference live. Wow. I thought that was going to take longer. I set this live up for, I think, 2 p.m. and blew me away when I got the notification that it was completed. So it is 9:44 my time, 10:44 Eastern time, which meant that they were in there just about an hour. Yes, today is the day. Officially, we have received justice for Abby and for Libby. Richard Allen was sentenced to 130 years. And we got to let this process play out now with an appeal. Much love and prayers to the families. The pain will never go away, but hopefully the sentence will help some. I agree. Absolutely agree. This has been a long time coming for the families of Abby and Libby. And a lot of us never thought this day would come. But it has. We have gone through a trial. We have now gone through a sentencing. And we now know that we are going to go through an appeal. What I find interesting is that his attorneys could actually represent him in that appeal. I hope that is not the case. I hope that 2 new attorneys get on there and take care of his appeal. I think it's only right. I know that he likes his attorneys and everything like that, but I think that it would be a lot better if other individuals represented him for the appeals process. All right, let me go to Court TV. Andrea, just because you're seeing it on the TV doesn't mean that I've got it on the internet. So I'm on the Court TV YouTube page and nothing's happening there. Let me go to Google. All right. So if you can give me a link of what you're looking at, that would be great.
If he's the right guy, we do believe he
Here we
is.
go.
We just didn't get to see the trial. Then this is a statement by society. what you did is the most heinous, horrible thing imaginable, taking these two young, beautiful lives. And I'll be interested to see, because now the Indiana State Police can talk, and the family members, presumably, and prosecutors. It'll be interesting to see what they say.
What did you think about the reporting about the rolling of the eyes that the judge said? You said that she chastised him. That was my first time hearing about that perhaps being what was going on in the courtroom. Had you heard that before? And what does it tell you about Richard Allen, if in fact it is happening?
Well, I believe he did roll his eyes, according to Barbara, and the family has told Barbara that they are not respecting this verdict. They believe in his innocence. And so going down fighting, what's hard to get your head around is confessions. If he didn't do it, why did he confess?
All right, guys, I will be right back. I need to get something to drink. I'm going to let you watch this for a minute.
So many times, and I get it. We've seen Skylar Richardson. We've seen cases on court TV where people have falsely confessed. This was many, many, many confessions in different venues, on the phone, in person.
Different people.
Yeah, again, had we been able to see that, it would eliminate, I think, all of the conspiracy theorists that believe some oldness gang is responsible for all this.
Yeah, we would have seen the rolling eyes. I think Barbara said she didn't actually see it, and she didn't notice it during the trial, but clearly Judge Gull definitely reacted.
Well, Judge Gull's the only one that saw it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know that it happened. So
well, she certainly brought it up and said it was happening throughout the trial. Matthew Mangino, let me get your reaction to that part of it. I know you mentioned it, but does it change at all your view of Richard Allen throughout this process, instead of, at least in front of the jury, being respectful, that he's perhaps rolling his eyes at the judge and what I would consider rolling his eyes at the system?
Well, yeah, I mean, if he was rolling his eyes during the trial, the jury saw that. Because the jury is watching the defendant, looking at the defendant, what his mannerisms are, what his reactions are, how he's dealing with this. And if he was rolling his eyes, he wasn't winning any point with the jury. And that's certainly a problem for him. And we know he was convicted by this jury. And then the judge, who again said he's rolling his eyes, didn't endear him to her as well, and he got the maximum sentence. So that wouldn't be entirely surprising if in fact that's what he was doing during the trial and today at sentencing.
Well, the defense in their sentencing memo, you almost could feel that they were rolling their eyes at the system when they let the judge know before we even got to the hearing that they didn't plan to put on any evidence. They told Richard Allen not to even participate in the PSI, the pre-sentencing investigation, where he would have to talk to perhaps a corrections officer, because they felt like there was no value, that the state has failed him, that the prison system has failed him, and him cooperating isn't helpful at all. So they're completely focused on his appeal.
To me, this is a weird part of the equation, and Matthew can, I'm sure, have an opinion on this. When you have a heinous crime, everyone is defended, right? Everyone has either a public defender or a lawyer. And I know many defense lawyers who are holding their nose sometimes at the defense table because they know their guy did it. They know what the person did is horrible. They put on a very aggressive defense, and at the end of the day, they're kind of happy that the guy was found guilty because they know they're part of our society. This is different. These attorneys are like, you got the wrong guy, and I can't get my head around it. They're good attorneys. They're not. It's just their aggressiveness, and we see it even in the sentencing, is a little bit off. It just is, because they're privy to all the information, and for some reason they don't think he did it.
Now, knowing what you know about the times that they actually tried to go to the higher courts and did go to the higher courts over pretrial litigation issues, what do you think is going to happen with the higher courts on his appeal?
I think this is ripe for appeal. Judge Gull denied everything, and even the mention of the property owner where the bodies were found, all of the initial suspects. You look at most trials, the defense is in certain manner able to use the investigation to their advantage. Judge Gull eliminated that. I think at the end of the day, this might get over. He may have an issue at the appellate level.
Could be why they took the position they did at sentencing. We are going to get to a break. We are standing
muted. Sorry. Like I said, we know that an appeal is going to happen. We're going to have to wait and see what is going on and what is going to happen. They're going to have to look through all of the appeals documents, any transcripts from the trial, and make it a determination. And that's going to take a while. Well, Jason, right now the families do feel that they have received justice. They do believe that Richard Allen is the man that took those beautiful girls away from us. And we're going to hear from them soon. They are going to speak. They do plan on speaking at the press conference. I know the Patties will speak for sure. We'll have to wait and see if any other family members speak during that time. And right now, Court TV is on a break. So hang on just 1 second. Okay, that was Anthony. He's going to be joining us here in just a minute. He's at the Canal Center, and he's going to be bringing the press conference to us live. I do believe once you hear Alan's voice, it'll signify to you that he is the bridge guy. And remember, there's no evidence from any witnesses that any other person was at the bridge at the time the girls were walking there. So if you believe that Richard Allen is bridge guy and no one else was there, nobody saw anybody else, remember, the private drive is a private drive. People don't just drive up and down it for the heck of it. There is a family who owns that gate that watches who comes in and out of that private drive. I'm just going to say that right here and right now. So not just anybody can go in that private driveway. Okay. Court TV is still on a break. I am coming back here to just look at things. Hello, Fight for Justice. Nice to see ya.
McCormick.
They may or they may not. We'll have to wait and see. Witnesses didn't saw RA. They saw younger. No. The witnesses all testified in court. The man they saw was the man in Libby's video. The voice is not altered. I heard it firsthand. I heard him speaking firsthand. It's not altered. He's got a unique voice. I didn't say they testified they saw RA. I said they testified that the man they saw was the man in the video. Now, the witness also stated that the man on the bridge that she saw on the first platform was the same man in the video. Richard Allen is the one that put himself on the bridge at that time. He is the one that said he was there watching the stock ticker and the fish. Why would you ask if it was Richard Allen when they didn't see his face? Clearly, they saw the clothes he was wearing, the clothes that he admitted to wearing at the time that he was there on the bridge.
Yeah, video on my camera too.
I'll take notes from your video.
Oh yeah. Okay. Marv.
Anthony, I don't know why he took me off the screen, but
ask a question.
Here, it just takes you right off the screen. So there will be another link that's going to be joining in for another camera view as well.
Okay.
Hold on. He's talking. What did he say? It looks like we're going to have about a half.
You are cutting in and out, Anthony. We cannot hear you.
That's because we don't have any signal in here, and there's so many people talking.
Oh, I got a good signal, man.
Do you? I don't have a good signal in here.
You got AT&T? That's why.
All right.
I think it's because I'm connected to something.
Can you mute
I'm connected to
yourself
Wi-Fi
a minute?
somewhere.
Okay.
I got to switch over to Wi-Fi. It should be better now. I got to get off Wi-Fi in here.
But didn't they give different descriptions of the color of clothing? Originally, yes. But when they saw
And so did he.
When they saw Liberty's video, they specifically testified the guy they saw, the clothing that was on the video was the clothing the guy was wearing. Anthony, are you there?
Yes.
Okay, your video is grainy.
That's because I'm inside here.
Marv, beggars can't be choosers.
I know. Just let me know.
It's going to have to hold it still. So I need to be able to record with the other camera too. So I need to find someone to hold this.
Are you going to have your cell phone on too, or somebody else's cell phone?
Yeah. So she can turn her cell phone on, and put it on there, and then there'll be another cell phone there where you can actually see a different view. So she'll click on that here in a few minutes. But this is what's going on in the room.
Okay, so do we have any idea how long before the press conference actually starts?
30 minutes.
30 minutes. Okay, so
If that,
Mark,
maybe sooner.
okay. Mark says there are multiple pieces all over Indiana that no community reported. It's sad, yes. So if you're just joining us, If you're just joining us, Richard Allen did receive 130-year sentence in prison. Let's see here. I'm trying to bring up WTHR also.
To pull them up, they're right here.
WTHR is there too.
Everybody's here.
Go on,
Every
sure.
network you can possibly think of is right here. Let me go over here and show you. Look at all this.
Wow.
It's a lot.
Yeah.
I'll just walk through here real slow.
No, Richard Allen's was not there. For his request, they did not come. So Richard Allen's family.
Richard Allen's family did not.
Anthony, why don't you give us a report on what you heard and saw in the courtroom today?
Okay, let me go ahead and turn the phone around and I can be able to go ahead and give that to you. Let me go ahead and turn this thing around and give you guys. All right. So, what's your questions?
What happened?
What I heard and saw in the courtroom. So today in the courtroom, there was a lot of emotion involved with victim impact statements provided by members of the family to Richard Allen. Those individuals were Josh Lank. It was Mike, Becky Patty, Eric and Diane Erskine. And their comments were directed to Richard Allen. He spoke. Richard Allen spoke for a couple minutes to the judge. He spoke louder than normal. You were able to hear his voice a little better for the people that have never been in there. It was extremely sad to see the message that was delivered to him by the family members. It was it was very powerful to hear what they said to him and just the way that it made them feel. And one of the things that really were highlighted today, and it was highlighted by Jerry Holman, was highlighted by Nick McClelland, was highlighted by Mike and Becky and other members that discussed this today, was how bad this tore up the community and how much it hurt innocent people from the hate, the lies presented by the defense team. That was brought up multiple times today, was that Richard Allen said that he wanted to confess and his defense team would not let him. And that he would, if he wanted to do the right thing and actually say he was sorry and confess, that he needed to just do it. And Mike Patty said that to him. He says, you know what? There was a time that you could have been a man and you've never been a man. And for that, I'll never forget, and I'm not ready to forgive you. Josh Link told Richard Allen that he's a dead man walking. He's going to die, and they're going to get him in prison. And Becky said that that she wanted him to be put in general population so he could get the attention that he wanted. Richard Allen made a video recorded confession in which he described every detail of what happened that day. His intention, he went to the trail and he laid in wait for the girls until they arrived. He said he thought they were older than they were. His intention was to sexually assault them. He took them down the hill where he began to sexually assault them and was interrupted by the van and ordered them across the creek, where ultimately he killed them. He stabbed them and then he stayed with them, he says, and made sure that they were dead. And then he covered their body with sticks and left and lived his life for 8 years or 6 years without a care. That's what I saw today. And I saw Doug Carter's here, Jerry Holman's here, Tobe Lesenby's here. Everybody's here. Everybody's here. Everybody who's everybody. If you've seen a name in this case, they're here. It's different. Why would Richard Allen do this at 45 is beyond me. That's the thing, is this isn't something that's new. It's not like he's just killed people before, but this isn't something new to his psychology and the way that he thinks and the way that he acts. He's a predator. People with that mentality can't shake that. They just get worse over time. And
what was his
that's
reaction?
What happens here. There's Lieutenant Dan Doolin. His reactions were he shook his head a lot, about like this. Different looking man today. When he walked into the courtroom, he's no longer in dress clothes. He was in like a gray prison sweatshirt, handcuffed and shackled this time. A different look on his face. There wasn't any smiling today. There wasn't looking for his wife. She wasn't there. But when the judge spoke to him upon sentencing, she straight told him, "You're going to roll your eyes at me again, as you've rolled your eyes at me many times during this trial. You've shown a lack of remorse." And kind of what I told you before the stream on what I thought was going to happen, she broke down the mitigating and aggravating circumstances, and the defense's argument was that he'd never committed a crime, he'd never had a criminal history, and the prosecution's argument, exactly kind of what I was saying earlier, was that the aggravating circumstances outweigh the mitigating because of the sexual nature of the crime, the brutality of the crime, and the hate that the crime has brought on to other members of the community. Not just the family, but by calling the law enforcement corrupt and lying, bold-faced lies in court is exactly what Jerry Holman said today. Bold-faced lies to accuse cops of corruption, taint a community, and hurt people. And that's what's happened. It's hurt a lot of people here.
We heard the reaction.
And so that's what I thought.
Yeah. We heard the reaction in the court. We heard there wasn't much reaction in the court. Is that true?
Much of a reaction from who?
From anybody in the courtroom.
Oh, you know what? That everyone was just very intently looking and listening as to what was happening. The message that was being delivered to him, and whether or not he would speak on it, and if he would answer. I think we were all kind of curious to see if the message worked. I think what was trying to happen here today was to make him feel guilty, was to look him straight in the eye from the family themselves and say, you know what, dude, why? Why? You want to do the right thing? Stop the appeals. Stop this. The last thing that Mike Patty said was, let the girls rest in peace. Let them rest in peace.
Right.
Stop. Do the right thing. It's in this, dude. It's over. Stop the rest, you know. And that was the best thing, I think. You know.
What you said Richard Allen spoke. What did he say?
He answered the judge's questions. The judge wanted to the judge just had questions about whether he thought his attorney represented him to the best of their ability, whether he would like to file an appeal. He indicated yes. He didn't really have much to say except for he thought that he was being represented okay. He understood what was going on, and he understood that he could say something, but he chose not to make a statement at the end.
Okay.
I mean,
So now,
and when you listen to him talk, and I hear Bridge.
I do too. He's got a unique voice.
It's him. He's got that a little bit of country southern type. It's a different voice. But it's him. I mean, you listen to that and you listen to that audio. It's him.
So I'm assuming they're just setting everything up, getting everything ready.
You do what? Yeah, I'm here. So I'm just sitting here watching him and seeing what's going on here. You got a tripod? Why don't you have a tripod? I got one out in the car. You want one? For your phone? This is mine. This is mine.
Is this you?
Yeah, this is mine. Yeah.
Yes, Vanessa, that
Yep.
seems like that was a theme today, is to own up to what you did.
Own up to what you did. At least answer questions and tell the truth. It's in this.
Right.
It's over. Good, Randy.
Thank you.
Wow.
That room is filling up quite fast. We are just waiting for that room is filling up very fast. We're just waiting for the press conference to begin. I've got it on multiple places. We can show it. So we will bring it to you whenever it starts.
Flips around here.
I got the right guy. You can
Camera.
see the defense had multiple pretrial hearings to bring in actual evidence someone else did it and could provide zero. Oh. I'm gonna.
All right. Hang on. Hold on.
Looks like they're trying to get everything set up.
You know what? I'll be right back, Marv.
Okay.
Hold this. I'm gonna get my tripod.
If you ever make $1 million, I swear to God, all the things.
This sounds like Teddy's there.
Where?
Oh yeah, that's me just doing Greeno another favor. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you so much, Teddy, for being there. We appreciate it.
Oh yeah. How you doing? How you feeling?
Good. What was your thoughts on what happened today?
I'm happy. Good. Fuck that
Glad
guy.
it's over.
Yep. I couldn't believe how fast it was, but I'm not mad about it.
Yeah, that surprised me too.
Yeah, it was definitely a weird day. I mean, the way that it was set up, and at the end, we kind of just figured out it was very not like the rest of the trial, but I don't know. It was definitely emotional, and yeah, I'm glad it's over. I'm glad it's over. Those guys should be ashamed of themselves. That was wow. I couldn't believe he was shaking his head at Gull when she was talking about him rolling his eyes. I don't know.
That's crazy. But he's been kind of defiant through the whole trial.
Well, he's crazy, so doesn't surprise me, but I don't know. Just I couldn't believe how disrespectful that whole side was. It's
Right.
gross. I'm so overtired.
Oh, I bet.
Yeah, we didn't really have to wait out in the line last night, but I still didn't sleep. I
Yeah.
sat in my car, listened to Greeno. Yeah, it was a fun time. No, I don't know where the hell he went. Oh, I'm the first AD, I guess. I thought I was holding his camera while he went to go do something, and he's taking second video.
He said he was going to get a second camera going.
Yeah, well, he better hurry up and grow a couple extra arms, because this is not my job.
You know, I hear you over there. I'm just waiting on my tripod to show up.
Yeah.
See, everybody, look, I'm sitting back here. I'm sitting back here looking at him up there talking all about me.
Oh, you're sitting down now while I'm standing up.
Oh, the door opened behind him. It's Judge Mathis. There's Dan Doolin, Lieutenant Dan Doolin. Cops. Screw with them, everybody. Cody Patty. There's Carrie and her family is right there.
Mm-hmm.
That's fine.
I'll take you right down the room real quick, and then, yeah. What's up?
Glad to see that the families are all there, ready for this. I'm sure that we're going to hear from some of them. Hi, Randy. How are you? That is what we're being told is that he asked his family not to come today.
What about him?
What we were told by Bob Siegel is that Richard Allen asked his family not to come to court today.
That may be a thing, but I mean, what would be the purpose of them coming? To watch him get hammered? I mean, I wouldn't. It just seems like a pointless cause to me.
Yeah, I'm not sure, but I guess he specifically asked for them not to come today.
I'm walking around hearing my own voice. Yeah, I'm on YouTube. You should make those bigger, Marv.
I'm trying.
Marv.
Hi, girl. What's that? You're not here.
She can see you.
Okay.
Here. She can't see you now, but.
Oh, okay. Tell her I said hi. What's
Yeah.
I guess I'll stay today.
Working on the thing right now.
Marv?
Yes. Hi.
Marv.
I just want to say hi. Marv, it's Mika. I want to say hi to you, girl.
Hello, how are you?
I'm well. We miss you.
I'm getting better. Every day.
Okay.
A little bit of delay.
All right, no worries.
Found it. It is.
Okay.
That's it. All right, here you go.
I feel like such a douchebag.
All right, guys, I'm trying to.
Yeah, but there's a different level. Don't put that on me. Oh, that's blasphemous. Don't ever say that.
I love you, Teddy. I really do.
Stay out of my shop.
I hear Jinx back there. Okay, I think I got it.
Oh, now I see why you're
Oh, I know you weren't talking to me.
Oh, no, we were talking about
Dude, hey, you know what? Hey. Well, I'm sitting here talking. I'm on a live stream.
Where did, oh, I was going to say, where'd your second camera go? There we go.
Okay, we're getting ready. What did he say?
He said 5-minute warning.
5-minute warning? We have a 5-minute warning, everybody.
All right.
5 minutes.
5-minute warning. Yes, Dan Doolin is there.
Have you heard that? 5 minutes? Have you heard that? Yep.
All right, Anthony, can you Anthony, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Can you talk to them so I can run to the bathroom before this starts?
We have 5 minutes. I'm just gonna let them hear what they hear live.
Okay. I will be
Okay,
right
I'm not
back.
gonna do any talking. I'm just gonna do this. And when you get back, if they're talking, don't talk because they'll be able to hear you. Okay.
Okay.
So because the room's quiet and you'll be able to hear the live stream. Okay.
All
And I
right.
can't quiet it. I can't silence it from my phone. Okay.
Can you put the picture
All
back
right.
up?
So you can go ahead and yeah, you can put the picture. Yeah, she'll put the picture back up. Probably, I'm sure.
Okay, I'll be right back.
Yes, I got it. Yeah. He stayed at my house. I got a sign that says what I want, like the dog play. Yeah, it doesn't He's a shit. No, it's a shit. I don't think her husband. Yeah, we're all thinking about George, but I don't think her husband would go for that. He loves ruckus and all. Not anymore. He wants a house. I love her.
My name is Jeremy Pierce with Indiana State Police. I'd like to thank you all for being here today and for your continued cooperation throughout the course of this trial. I'd also like to extend a special thank you to the Canal Center for allowing us to use their facility. As we move forward, we remain committed to keeping Abigail Williams and Liberty German at the center of our focus. Their memory has guided us every step of the investigation, and the photo displayed behind us serves as a powerful reminder of why we're here and what this case has always been about. Due to the gag order, it's been some time since we spoke publicly about this case. Now that the order has been lifted, we're grateful to be here today and speak to all of you. Before we get started, I'd like to introduce you to the speakers. Mike Adams from the families, Carroll County Sheriff Tony Liggett, Indiana State Police Superintendent Doug Carter, and Carroll County Prosecutor Nick McClellan. At the conclusion of their remarks, Prosecutor McClellan will take a limited number of questions, and he has requested that all questions be directed to him. On behalf of those standing behind me here today, and all those who've dedicated countless hours into this investigation, we thank you all for your continued support. I'd like to introduce you to our first speaker, Mike Patty.
Thank you. Thank you. I have a nice speech all prepared. It's kind of last minute thing here, but I really wanted to take the time to send out my appreciation that justice has been served for the girls. I want to thank the jurors. Hope they get a chance to see today that they took time out of their lives and remained open-minded, objective, was able to look at the information and deliver a verdict. For that, I will always be grateful. Community. The community has embraced our families from day one and continues to lift us up and support us. And again, for that, I'll always be grateful. Thank you. Investigating team and the prosecution, thank you for staying steadfast, continuing to work towards this. 8 years, I mean, almost 8 years. I mean, if I live for Naked 80, it'll almost be 10% of my life been spent working on this. And to the judge, I want to thank her as well for her steadfast, staying on course, staying on track, and helping us get through this. Thank you very much. Tony.
Good morning. At the end of 2016 and the beginning of 2017, changed the fabric of Carroll County. We lost 6 beautiful young girls. All of that happened within 6 months. My office is not a part of the investigation into the Florida fire that's being headed up by the state police. Anything that they would ask us to do, anything that they would ask for us to do, and I know that we're working extremely on that case as well. Carroll County is a tight-knit community of about 20,000 people. It used to be a place where people didn't lock their doors. I believe that the verdict and the sentencing will help ease some of that sense of security for the people of Carroll County. The people who live here are very resilient. I think you can see that. Just the families, the Germans, the Patties, the Williams. Carroll County is an amazing place to live, to work, to raise your family. I want to thank Carroll County, all the people of Carroll County and the families for their patience during this investigation. I keep hearing the word closure. Saying, I bet you're glad that there's finally closure. There will never be any closure in this case. The Germans and the Williams families, their daughters, their granddaughters, their siblings, justice, a form of justice was served, not very happy, but it's not very happy for Libby back. These families live every day. These families live every day without 2 of the most important people in their lives. They're missing milestones because of a low life. Howard decided to take their innocent lives. They did not deserve this. Today is not closing the page and just turning the page and starting a new chapter. My heart is and always has been broken for these families. I want them to know that we stand with them, and I want to apologize to them that it took 8 years for us to get to this point. This case was quite the undertaking. For the Carroll County Sheriff's Office. There are so many people that put a lot of time in assisting us with bringing it to a conclusion. You see a lot of them right here, and there are many that aren't standing up here. There are so many agencies to thank for standing by our side. Just to give you an idea of the support that we had just for the trial, we had 36 outside agencies help us with just the security during the trial. On the afternoon of February 14th, at least that many came to help us investigate this case. Everyone from detectives down to dispatchers to help investigate or just answer phones. I remember a conversation after we found the girls with Jerry Holman about whether or not we were going to take the case or Indiana State Police were going to take the case. Well, it was not my decision. It was not my decision, but I knew we didn't have the resources needed to do this on our own. Holman made a commitment that if we took the case, ISP wouldn't leave it and they would stand by our side and provide any of those resources that we needed, and they did just that. Tobe Leslie was the sheriff at the time, and he asked ISP to stand with us. I want to thank Doug Carter and the rest of the Indiana State Police for being with us during this time. The reason justice was served today was due to one person, the person that only knows how to give. She has given herself literally for free to this investigation in different ways since March of 2017. Kathy Chang, while filing, scanning, and organizing, found a tip that led us to be here today. Throughout this investigation, especially when things happened during the month, or things that happened during the month of 2017, that was a time when Kathy was not helping us. When she would come across something that she didn't know, she would always bring that to the investigator. And every time that she brought us something, and said, "Did you know this?" We knew it, except for the tip that she brought us that got us here today. To borrow a term I believe was started by Becky Patty, the saying that meant enough to me that I had it on a sticker on my computer, in my car, and on my refrigerator at home. The goal was actually to be able to say the words, and they ring true. There is zero doubt that justice has been served, and today is the day. Thank you.
Had prepared remarks today. Excited walking in here that I wasn't going to read it. John Bryan died in 2,866 days. This entire thing began. I didn't know I didn't realize today we were going to be walking into the same room where many of you were, I believe, from memory, in 2019 time frame. And over the course of the last many years now, several of us, included, have been mocked and ostracized for our emotion, for our inability to answer questions that we might ask, and the thought that we're something other than human beings. I'm not going to apologize for that. I wish people could see what goes on behind the scenes, not just with people dressed like me, the citizens of this town and this city. Amazing acts of unbelievable courage, self-service, and self-sacrifice. wish you all could have been in the courtroom today and heard the impact statements. I'll always remember them. And I hope you have transcripts and read what was said and try to understand the context of those words. Over the course of these last many years, there have been many investigative strategies. Any notion of cover-up, any notion of us deciding the outcome of this, any notion of any connection to anything else is not correct. It's not correct. I've never been a detective in my entire life. I can represent some of the best on the planet Earth. And I listen to them intently. And when they make strategy decisions associated with what the next steps would be, my job is to support them, and I stand by those decisions, every single one of them. Yeah. We live by that. We live by that gag order. The defense did not. And it cost a human life. Anybody that shared those photographs of those two little girls should be held accountable. Whether they're in the public, whether they're emailed to you, whether you found them in a place you didn't want them to see. I hope that if you ever see them, you'll picture your own children as Abby and Libby. I'll never forgive that. I will never, ever forgive that. We live by the gag order. Documents were released from the defense that drove a public narrative that many of you talked about. And damn it, I wish I could have responded. But I was not going to violate what Judge Gull said. We were able to get these documents out there and create a public narrative that you and many of you, and many others believe around the globe. Baldwin and Rosser are responsible. The family effects, I think you'll see the words that were spoken by the folks that spoke today about their lives have probably been forever changed. I'll never be the same. And they said it in ways that were beautiful in some kind of a mysterious way. There's an attorney in Indianapolis. I heard a guy on the radio after the verdict. A lot of hate mail came, death threats came. I heard Guy Relaford say that day on the radio, and I called him 15 minutes after he said it. And after 40 years in this business, I never thought about the jury's perspective. But he said the only people that mattered in that courtroom was the jury. And he went on to talk about, he's a very bright attorney. He went on to talk about what they can see that we can't, that you couldn't. They could see the defense, they could see the state, they could see the witnesses, feel the emotion, and they could see Richard Allen. I never thought about that perspective because we have a singular view most times. You is human nature. Your goal was to keep the peace in that courtroom, but the people that mattered were those 12 jurors. And we have a system of justice that allows them to decide the fate of human beings. That's what our founders have established. And that's what they did. I hope you all understand that what you say and how you report matters more than you could ever possibly comprehend. This is an opportunity for us to all learn about what social media is and isn't, what we should do, what we shouldn't, and understand that the words have consequences to other human beings. I appreciated Guy's perspective and it changed my view of the criminal proceeding. Richard Allen knew. We live in a country where people can hate, people can say things about other people. And that's okay to hate me. It's okay. It's one of the only countries in the world where you can. So hate me if you want to. Investigative collaboration is something that I'll remember for the rest of my life. For the rest of my life. There's no way we could possibly chronicle it or articulate it or write about it or anything. There's no way we can ever do that. We are human beings and there were mistakes made. But there was never a mistake made that we knew was wrong with you. I'll crawl across shards of hot glass for Jerry Holman. Jerry Holman is not a liar. Jerry Holman paid the last 8 years of his life to something much greater than himself. We fussed with each other throughout the course of this in conclusion. We argued with each other. I remember Tobin and I had to get this other room in April of 19, as you should expect us to. There was no group thing. We debated each other, as you should expect us to. But then the defense spins that into incompetence. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous nonsense. Of all the Marazi to have done that. And finally, most importantly, to the Delphi community, and to the family of Abby and Libby. Words cannot possibly explain what we all feel. But what Nick McClellan did, and the rest of the team that was associated with this, every single time it was about something other than themselves, it was about this community and that family. We owe them a debt of gratitude that can never possibly be repaid. How about we start healing now? How about we hit that reset button and understand that justice in this country was served. If we don't want justice in this country, we'll do another one. Let's heal. Tone down the rhetoric. Stop all the politics and all the nonsense, all the conspiracy theories, and understand that we all tried the best we could. That should be the message to us and to our kids. And to this most amazing place we call the United States of America. Welcome. Thank you.
Good morning. We all just have a little bit of a sigh of relief that this thing is over finally. The convictions come in, we got the verdict, we got the sentence, 130 years in the Department of Corrections. And while I don't think ever this verdict or this conviction will ever bring peace to the family, I hope that they can take this sigh of relief with me to say that this part of the trial is over, that we got the conviction, that we got the sentence that brings justice for Abby and Libby. A few of the things I am going to say are going to echo what Sheriff Leake said, what Superintendent Carter said, and what Mike Patty said. But I'd be remiss if I didn't thank some people along the way. Law enforcement, Carroll County Sheriff's Department, NESP Police, Department of Natural Resources, all the agencies that assisted in this investigation and the prosecution of the defendant, I want to thank. They were attacked by members on the internet for their integrity. They were called corrupt. They were called evil. And they were called liars. And they weathered that storm with professionalism and did what they could to be a shield for the families. Spent countless hours chasing down leaks of crime scene photos, countless hours attempting to scrub the internet of those crime scene photos, and countless hours trying to protect the family as best as they could. And so to them, ISP, Carroll County Sheriff's Department, DNR, the other agencies that assisted, thank you. We would not be here today if it were not for your efforts and your countless hours that you sacrificed away from your family and your friends to give us the evidence that we needed to get the conviction. I want to thank my team. Stacy Diener, James Luttrell. There is no way I could have tried this case. We spent countless hours working on this case. I with the Marv family, with the Marv friend, and no one will understand the heart and the effort they poured into this. So thank you. I want to thank Kathy Shanks. She kept us well fed. She was the grandmother of our offices. She made sure that we never complained. Without her, we would not be here. Without her countless hours of going over files, of scanning in documents, of looking at reports, and having the wherewithal to bring this to the attention of Sheriff Liggett. To say, hey, I haven't seen this before. Has anybody followed up with this person? Without her, we would not be. Without her, we would not have an arrest, a conviction, and a sentence. She was the key part of this investigation. The needle in the haystack, if you will, brought this investigation to a close to where we could make an arrest. Kathy Shanks, I thank you. And finally, the family. The Williams, the Murans, Patties, thank all you guys. The support you gave me throughout this, those times when I said you had to abide by the order, that you wanted to respond to the things that were being put out there, the allegations against you, against your family members, that you respected me to the point where you were willing to agree to abide by that gag order for the betterment of the case. The fact that you supported me throughout it, and I know there may be times you doubted, but you endured. And without your help, we wouldn't have got the conviction. And without your victim impact statement and the graceful words that you gave to the court about how this has influenced your lives, we wouldn't have got the sentence that we got. 130 years, maximum sentence on each count. And so I thank you. Finally, I'd be remiss if I didn't thank Abby and Libby themselves for recording the defendant as he walked across the bridge, having the wherewithal to pull out her phone and record that individual, having the wherewithal to know that something wasn't right. Arguably the biggest piece of evidence that we had, that recording of their killers. And then to Abby for hiding the phone from the killer so they couldn't take it with him, hiding the phone so that law enforcement could find it and get that piece of evidence that Libby had collected. Without the efforts from those two little girls, we wouldn't be here today. Abby and Libby, thank you. I want to say we're very happy with the jury's verdict. We're elated with the judge's ruling, or the judge's sentence. The sentence is appropriate. Judge Gull stated in court, the aggravators outweigh the mitigators, and the heinous nature of this crime deserve a fully executed sentence. I'll end with this. I want to thank the media for keeping this case in the forefront, for keeping the tips coming in for us to investigate. But I will leave you this word of caution. Please, the superintendent said, the crime scene photos are still out there, and more may be out there in the future. Please, if you receive those, delete those. Don't forward those on. Don't re-victimize the family and the other family members. You can write whatever story you want and report however you want. You do not need those crime scene photos to do so. All it does is re-victimize the families and hurt the reputation of that individual. So please, if you get those, do not forward those on. If you get any other crime scene photos or autopsy photos or anything, don't forward those on. As Superintendent Carter said, imagine if they were your kids, your grandkids. You can write a story without having those pieces as part of the narrative. So please, do not forward those on. I want to thank the community finally Everybody in the community locally has supported my office, supported law enforcement. The show of support from them has been just unforgettable. I appreciate everything everyone's done. I appreciate the prayers. I appreciate the handshakes, the support, everything that everybody's done throughout this course of the 8-year investigation. This investigation started, I was actually the defense attorney. I ran for the prosecutor's office in January 1st of 2018, and I knew coming into that office that this case was one that I would have to investigate. And I made it one of my, not only to investigate it, but to get an arrest, have the trial, and get a conviction. And all the support I had throughout that, I appreciate it. And so, as Trooper Pierce said, I'm going to answer a few questions. The gag order is lifted. You're more than welcome to talk to anybody up here individually afterwards if they want to talk to you. But I will take a few questions here and now.
What do you do to help the family navigate the emotions of the swirling narratives outside of the gag order and also the hate and vitriol of the case?
It's not easy. It's hard to put yourself in their shoes because I've never had a child die. And so it's very difficult. It took a lot of phone calls, text messages, meetings. A lot of it was, hey, try not to read that stuff that you see on the internet, which is easier said than done. But a lot of it was just moral support and leaning on each other to say, we can't violate the gag order. Let's keep our eye on the ball. We need to get the trial, and we want to try to get the conviction, and then we can talk. And so it was just a lot of words of encouragement between each other, moral support, text message, phone calls, those kind of things.
Mr. McClellan, can you start?
What was your, what happened with Ms. O'Day at the end of the hearing? What was that fight about?
She was just commenting about some things that were said at sentencing, and I'm just going to keep those things to myself.
You got it in your face, though. That's not a fight.
Well, I don't know if she got it to my face. I'll just keep those things to myself. She was just commenting on things that were said at sentencing.
The defense has made it clear they plan to appeal. Your thoughts on their chances?
Well, it's not up to the defense. It's up to the defendant. I'm not going to repeat his name. He's the defendant at this point. And so he has 30 days to file notice with the court that he wants to appeal. If he doesn't file that notice, then there is no appeal. And so once he files that notice, we'll deal with it accordingly. We'll work with the Attorney General's office to represent the state, and we'll give them whatever support that they need in order to draft it.
I guess given all the questions you've all addressed that and how frustrating it was, your confidence in the security of this verdict and in this maximum sentence?
Confident in the verdict and the sentence, but again, I'm not on the Court of Appeals. They'll have to make that decision if it comes to them.
Mr. McClellan?
Part of 2023 and one of the very first pretrial hearings, you addressed the court because possibly some other actors involved in the operation.
Well, at this point, we don't believe either actors are involved. We don't have any evidence to support that. If evidence comes out in the future to support that, we'll obviously investigate that. We're not going to say, hey, no, we got the conviction. We're not listening to what you have to say. At this point, we have no other evidence showing that any other actors were involved. Richard Allen himself, the defendant, wants to come forward and give us information, we'll gladly accept that.
Is that the reasoning for the amended charges?
The amended charges were we added the 2 counts of intentional murder. I did that because I thought it was appropriate at the time.
Thank you.
Can you tell us more about the Anthony Schatz profile?
Yeah, can you tell us, Marv, if you ask me to speak on behalf of other people, how it makes you feel with the guilty verdict and the sentence? Obviously, it's the outcome you guys wanted, but how does it make the entire team feel to get to where we are today?
I think, I hate to speak for everybody, but I think, I hate to be cliche, use the word justice, but justice, vindication, to show that the people who stand behind me weren't liars, weren't corrupt. You know, those hate mails and hate messages continue to come in from some podcasters, some YouTubers. But I think just justification that, okay, we conducted a clean investigation, we presented the evidence as best we could, and the jury were convinced beyond a reasonable doubt that he was guilty.
Nick,
Yes.
does this now mean that all the other men are cleared? Can you use that word?
Who was all the other men?
The other men that were looked at during the course of the investigation that you always said we couldn't say that they're cleared, can you now say they're cleared?
I may not use that word cleared, but what I can tell you is we don't have any other evidence that ties them to the offense at this time.
Are you still looking into the Anthony Schatz profile in any other secondary investigation other than this?
What do you mean looking into the
Kagan Klein, well, in 2021, you guys asked for information on the user of that profile. Mr. Klein was in custody at that time, and then it just kind of faded out, and all of a
So
sudden
he was convicted.
he was.
34, 35 counts.
Is there anybody else connected from that profile to this case at all?
Not that we have any information right now. Sure. There's no significance in my mind of the timing. Once the person is they have a right to be sentenced within 30 days. And so I think the timing just was to try to get it in before the holiday because a lot of people do have time off and those kind of, and the courthouses are closed. So there's no significance in my mind to the timing, but that at work in everyone's schedule.
It's the time of year when people are
I'm not sure I understand your question, but regardless of the time of the year, I imagine it's hard for the family to not be with the victims any day, whether it's somebody's birthday or somebody's anniversary, the other holidays we have out throughout the year. Christmas is probably especially difficult. Again, I don't expect this verdict or the sentence to bring peace to the Patties, the Jerns, and the Williams. I don't know what at this point could ever bring peace to a family member that loses a child or a parent that loses a child. What I hope is, what I said, I hope it's a sigh of relief that this portion is over and that the conviction as it is now stands and he's been sentenced to the maximum possible sentence. I hope that is a sigh of relief for them. And I hope that they now, like Superintendent Carter, can continue to heal and start to put this chapter behind them. That's why the plea to the media, please do not recirculate those pictures, because all that does, as Mr. Erskine said in Victim Impact, it's like a scab or a wound that scabs over that is constantly ripped open. It's a constant reminder that our loved ones are put in this vulnerable position.
Picture people face criminal charges or any kind of charges if they do publish or share those pictures.
My opinion is if the Indiana Code allows criminal charges to be pressed for those kind of things, if something comes to my office, criminal charges will be pursued if the criminal code allows it.
Superintendent Carter, can you speak to the number of?
He can ask some questions after we're done.
Okay.
So,
Would you concede that there are some holes in this case or things that cannot be explained? That you cannot even explain.
I'm not going to concede that.
The judge spoke today to the defendant's conduct, specifically him rolling his eyes throughout the trial. Your take from your professional perspective in private cases, I'm sure you've watched him throughout the case. What was your reaction now to that?
It's hard for me to see him because the way we were seated, especially during the trial, we were kind of all crammed. We all go well, and we're kind of all crammed. It's kind of hard for me to focus on him. And the way I try cases is I'm focused on what I'm doing, and I try not to get sucked into the reactions of other people. I like to watch what the jury's reactions to certain things are. And so a lot of the stuff that she commented on, I didn't see from him. What I did notice from him is what I said in my sentencing recommendation, just the lack of remorse and the lack of regret, the lack of emotion, I guess, when the images of the victims are put up on the screen. As a father, when I see those things, and you probably see me up here, I get a little emotional about it. It's hard not to. And so the lack of those things kind of struck me. I didn't see him roll in the eyes of the judge, of course, but obviously never a good thing to do. So those are my comments on that.
What do you think? What piece of evidence, really quick? What piece of evidence, like from his demeanor to any parts of your case, what piece of evidence do you think did it to the jury and then also elicit this maximum sentence? What do you think got us here?
Oh gosh, I don't know what did it for the jury. I think it was a culmination of everything that we had. I think once you start stacking that evidence against him, and as it stacks up, it's hard to say the defendant is a bridge guy. And if you can accept that he's bridge guy, you can accept that he's the killer. And that to me is the bottom line. And so,
Nick, do you anticipate? Allen, you could talk to him face to face right now after all this has been said.
I think it would just echo what the superintendent said and what Sheriff Lee said and some of the things that were said by the victims' families in court. If he truly wants to apologize to the families and admit to what he's done, now he can do that. So,
Can you say today that Carroll County is safer than it was 8 years ago?
I believe so.
What steps have been taken to make it safer?
Well, I think it's safer in the sense that people can have that side of me to say, okay, we got the guy, we got the conviction. And so I think in that sense, it's safer. I've always thought Carroll, I was born and raised here in Carroll County. I left, of course, to go to graduate or college and law school, but then I came back. So this has always been my hometown. It's been my hometown for 3 generations and 4 generations of my family. And so I've always thought it's a safe place. And the things that Sheriff Lee said, the victim said, and that fluff, that we didn't lock our doors and that we knew everybody else. Those are true statements. This is a traditional, small, Midwestern town. And so I think it's always been safe. I think there can be that pressure off of people now to say, okay, I feel better. We got the guy, we got the conviction, and we know he's going to be in prison for 130 years.
Nick, do you anticipate any charges against any of the social media?
That'll be it for the questions today for the press conference. I would just like to say thank you for all coming out. As you go about your day, please remember the most important part of this entire thing, and that's the 2 girls that are behind us today. So as you go about your reporting, please do that and have to take your time.
Yes. Yes. All of them.
It was great to meet you. I'm sure. Yeah. Well,
Okay. So that is done with. I muted his. Hang on 1 minute. I got a phone call coming in I have to take. All right, sorry about that, everybody. All right, so Richard Allen has been sentenced to 130 years. Let's see what's going on there.
Oh my gosh, okay.
So we just wanted to really circle back after the holiday.
Please do. Please do. That's fine. No, it's fine. You can email me or like I said, I'm going to be off next week. Take some time. My email is nmc@carrollcounty.com.
I just wanted to say
Oh, you're fine. You're fine. You're fine.
This is my dear.
Oh, you're fine. You're fine. Thank you. Okay. Thank you.
All right, so we can't hear that interview, so I'm going to mute it once again. Okay. So, what do you guys think about what was said today from police and from Nick McClelland? Yeah, definitely want to be able to hear those interrogation tapes. Most definitely. So, we'll have to wait and see when all of that is going to be released. Definitely the theme was do not share the photos if they are released. This is a big contention with the family.
Let's just say I
All right, we're just getting background noise. I'm going to mute that again. All right. Anthony, can you hear me?
Trying to coexist here with life. Sorry, I'm just filming and trying to get interviews right now. Hey, do you want to go do that thing?
I'm going to show it again from the court TV or WTHR. We'll watch it here again in a minute.
Yeah, they're right. Yeah, they're right here somewhere, right there.
Yeah.
WTHR is right there. Say hi. I'm gonna see if I can grab a couple interviews real quick, and then I'll go from there. I'll be right back. I'm gonna go hand this off. Here, you take this for a second.
What am I doing? I don't want to be
It's
on
Marv.
live.
You're on live. Just show people what's going on.
Where am I? Okay, as long as I'm
Go
not
do
on
something
camera.
productive. I'll be right back.
Hey, so this is what's going on.
I'm just trying to conduct a couple interviews.
What? But here, you.
Yeah.
I'm good. Actually,
There's Teddy. I see. This is really cool. I'm gonna see if I'm.
The Aspen and others.
Huh? No, you're right. Say it again. What did you say?
We saw Aspen there.
Who?
Aspen.
Yeah, he's right there.
Okay, Anthony,
right there.
Go ahead and do your interviews. I'm going to replay the conference from WTR so that we can hear it a little bit
All right,
better.
I'm just going to set the phone. Okay, I'm just going to set the phone down over here in the corner of the room, and
Okay.
I'll be back to get it here in just a second. Okay?
Okay.
All right, I'll be back.
All right. Let's take a listen to this again. Just getting to the part where everybody comes up to speak. All right, here we go.
Good morning. My name is Jeremy Piers with the Indiana State Police. I'd like to thank you all for being here today and for your continued cooperation throughout the course of this trial. I'd also like to extend a special thank you to the Canal Center for allowing us to use their facility today. As we move forward, we remain committed to keeping Abigail Williams and Liberty German at the center of our focus. Their memory has guided us every step of the investigation, and the photo displayed behind us serves as a powerful reminder of why we're here and what this case has always been about. Due to the gag order, it has been some time since we have spoke publicly about this case. Now that the order has been lifted, we're grateful to be here today and speak to all of you. Before we get started, I'd like to introduce to you the speakers: Mike Patty from the families, Carroll County Sheriff Tony Liggett, Indiana State Police Superintendent Doug Carter, and Carroll County Prosecutor Nick McClelland. At the conclusion of their remarks, Prosecutor McClelland will take a limited number of questions, and he has requested that all questions be directed to him. On behalf of those standing behind me here today, and all those who have dedicated countless hours into this investigation, we thank you all for your continued support. I'd like to introduce to you our first speaker, Mike Patty.
Thank you, Jeremy. I don't have a nice speech all prepared. It was kind of a last minute thing here, but I really wanted to take the time to send out my appreciation that justice has been served for the girls. I want to thank the jurors. Hope they get a chance to see this, that they took time out of their lives and remained open-minded and objective and was able to look at the information and deliver a verdict. For that, I will always be grateful. The community. This community has embraced our families from day one and continues to lift us up and support us. And again, for that, I'll always be grateful. I want to thank them. The investigative team and the prosecution, thank you for staying steadfast and continuing to work towards this. It's been almost 8 years coming. If I live to make it 80, it'll almost be 10% of my life. It's been spent working on this. And to the judge, I want to thank her as well for her steadfast, staying on course, staying on track, and helping us get through this. Thank you very much. Tony?
Good morning. The end of 2016 and the beginning of 2017 completely changed the fabric of Carroll County. We lost 6 beautiful young girls, and all of that happened within a 6-month time span. My office is not a part of the investigation into the Flora fires that's being headed up by the state police. We would do anything that they would ask for us to do, and I know they're working extremely hard on that case as well. Carroll County is a tight-knit community, about 20,000 people. It used to be a place where people didn't lock their doors. I believe that the verdict and the sentencing will help ease some of that sense of security for the people of Carroll County. The people who live here are very resilient. I think you can see that just in the families, the Germans, the Patties, the Williams. Carroll County is an amazing place to live, to work, to raise your family. I want to thank all of the people of Carroll County and the families for their patience during this investigation.
I'll be back, Marv.
I keep hearing the word closure. People are coming up to me saying, I bet that you're glad there's finally closure. There will never be any closure in this case.
Marv, you got
The
pictures of
Germans and
Richard
the
Allen.
Williams family lost their daughters,
Say hi.
their granddaughters, their siblings.
Hello,
She
how
sees you now.
Form of
It
justice
was Holly,
was
Marv.
served.
Yeah, she saw you. She looked up.
Yeah.
Oh, hey.
I paused the video here for a minute, guys.
Okay, you're good.
Okay.
But it does not bring Abby or Libby back. These families will live every day without 2 of the most important people in their lives. They're missing milestones because of a low-life coward decided to take their innocent lives. They did not deserve this. Today is not closure. It is just turning the page and starting a new chapter. My heart is and always has been broken for these families. I want them to know that we stand with them, and I want to apologize to them that it took 8 years for us to get to this point. This case was quite the undertaking for the Carroll County Sheriff's Office. There are so many people that put a lot of time in assisting us with bringing it to a conclusion. You see a lot of them right here, and there are many that aren't standing up here. There are so many agencies to thank for standing by our side. Just to give you an idea of the support that we had just for the trial, we had 36 outside agencies help us for just the security during the trial. On the afternoon of February 14th, at least that many came to help us investigate this case. Everyone from detectives down to dispatchers.
to help investigate or just to answer phones. I remember a conversation after we found the girls with Jerry Holman about whether or not we were going to take the case or Indiana State Police were going to take the case. Well, it was not my decision. It was not my decision, but I knew we didn't have the resources needed to do this on our own. Holman made a commitment that if we took the case, ISP wouldn't leave us and they would stand by our side and provide any of those resources that we needed, and they did just that. Tobe Lesenby was the sheriff at the time, and he asked them. He asked ISP to stand with us. I want to thank Doug Carter and the rest of the Indiana State Police for being with us during this time. The reason justice was served today was due to one person, a person that only knows how to give. She has given herself literally for free to this investigation in different ways since about March of 2017. Kathy Shank.
Okay, Marv, I'm going to have to jump off here. I need to do some interviews
organizing
and stuff. I'm going to have a couple of law enforcement officers on as guests on a podcast. So I need to talk with them about that. And then I'll be back as soon as I can get back to a good signal and my stuff put away, okay?
Okay, sounds good.
You know, I wanted to say thank you. Thank you to everybody who tuned in with us today. We greatly appreciate it, and hopefully we got some answers. And if you couldn't hear everything at the beginning, you'll be able to hear it on my other camera when I release it. We got some good answers today. So it's over. And just thank you very much for tuning in, and I'll talk to you guys later.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, all right, thank you.
Okay, everybody, let's go back to the conference here that we're rewatching. I'm going to rewind this just a little bit.
In different ways since about March of 2017. Kathy Shank, while filing, scanning, organizing, found a tip that led us to be here today. Throughout this investigation, especially when things happened during the month, for things that happened during the month of 2017, that was a time when Kathy was not helping us. When she would come across something that she didn't know, she would always bring that to an investigator. And every time that she brought us something and said, "Did you know this?" We knew it, except for the tip that she brought us that got us here today. To borrow a term I believe was started by Becky Patty, a saying that meant enough to me that I had it on a sticker on my computer, in my car, and on my refrigerator at home. The goal was actually to be able to say the words, and they ring true. There is zero doubt that justice has been served, and today is the day. Thank you.
I had prepared remarks today, but I decided walking in here that I wasn't going to read them. John Perrine reminded me that 2,866 days ago, this entire thing began. I didn't know what I would think, and I didn't realize today we were going to be walking into the same room where many of you were, I believe in, again, from memory, April of 2019 or that time frame. And over the course of these last many years now, several of us, me included, have been mocked and ostracized for our emotion, for our inability to answer questions that you might ask, and the thought that we're something other than human beings. And I'm not going to apologize for that. I often say I wish people could see what's going on behind the scenes, and not just with people dressed like me, but citizens of this county and of this city. It's amazing acts of unbelievable courage and self-service and self-sacrifice. I wish you all could have been in the courtroom today and heard the victim impact statements. I'll always remember them. And I hope you'll get the transcripts and read what was said and try and understand the context of those words, even though you weren't in the courtroom. Over the course of these last many years, there have been many investigative strategies. Any notion of a cover-up, any notion of us deciding the outcome of this, any notion of any connection to anything else is not correct.
Wow.
It's not correct. I've never been a detective in my entire lifetime, but I get to represent some of the best on the planet Earth. And I listened to them intently. And when they made strategy decisions associated with what the next steps would be, my job was to support them, and I stand by those decisions, every single one of them. The gag order. We lived by that. We lived by that gag order. The defense did not.
No, they didn't.
And it cost a human life. Anybody that shares those photographs of those two little girls should be held accountable, whether they're in the public sphere, whether they're emailed to you, whether you found them in a place you didn't want them to see. I hope that if you ever see them, you'll picture your own children as Abby and Libby. I'll never forgive that. I will never, ever forgive that. We lived by the gag order. Documents were released from the defense that drove a public narrative that many of you talked about. And damn it, I wish I could have responded, but I was not going to violate what Judge Gull said. So they were able to get these documents out there and create a public narrative that you and many others, many of you, and many others believed around the globe. Baldwin and Rossi are responsible for that, not this team. The family effects, I think you'll see the words that were spoken by the folks that spoke today about their lives and how they've been forever changed, how they'll never be the same. And they said it in ways that were beautiful in some kind of a mysterious way. There's an attorney in Indianapolis by the name of Guy Relford. And I heard Guy on the radio after the verdict when a lot of hate mail came, death threats came. And I heard Guy Relford say that day on the radio, and I called him 15 minutes after he said it. And after 40 years in this business, I never thought about the jury's perspective. But he said the only people that mattered in that courtroom was the jury. And he went on to talk about, he's a very bright attorney. He went on to talk about what they can see that we can't, that you couldn't. They could see the defense. They could see the state. They could see the witnesses, feel the emotion, and they could see Richard Allen. I'd never thought about that perspective because we have a singular view most times. You, me, it's human nature. Judge Gull was the keeper of the peace in that courtroom, but the people that mattered were those 12 jurors. And we have a system of justice that allows them to decide the fate of a human being. That's what our founders had established. And that's what they did. I hope you all understand that what you say and how you report matters more than you can ever possibly comprehend. This is an opportunity for us to all learn about what social media is and isn't, what we should do and what we shouldn't, and understand that their words have consequences to other human beings. I appreciated Guy's perspective, and it changed my of the criminal proceeding. Richard Allen knew. We live in a country where people can hate. People can say things about other people. And that's okay. Hate me. It's okay. It's one of the only countries in the world where you can. So hate me if you want to. The investigative collaboration is something that I'll remember for the rest of my life. For the rest of my life. There's no way we could possibly chronicle it or articulate it or write about it or anything. There's no way we could ever do that. We are human beings, and there were mistakes made. But there was never a mistake made that we knew was wrong when we did it. I'll crawl across shards of hot glass for Jerry Holman. Jerry Holman is not a liar. Jerry Holman gave the last 8 years of his life to something much greater than himself. We worked with each other throughout the course of this. In conclusion, we argued with each other. I remember Tobe and I had an argument right here in this other room in April of 19, as you should expect us to. There was no groupthink. We debated each other, as you should expect us to. But then the defense spins it into incompetence. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous nonsense for Baldwin and Rozzi to have done that. And finally, most importantly, to the Delphi community and to the family of Abby and Libby. Words cannot possibly explain what we all feel. But what Nick McClellan did and the rest of the team that was associated with this, every single time it was about something other than themselves. It was about this community and that family. We owe them a debt of gratitude that can never possibly be repaid. How about we start to heal now? How about we hit that reset button and understand that justice in this country was served, and if you don't like justice in this country, go to another one. Let's heal. Tone down the rhetoric. Stop all the politics and all the nonsense and all the conspiracy theories, and understand that we all tried the best we could. That should be the message to us and to our kids and to this most amazing place we call the United States of America. Well done. Thank you all.
Good morning. Can we all just have a little bit of a sigh of relief that this thing is over finally? The convictions come in. We've got the verdict. We got the sentence, 130 years in the Department of Corrections. And while I don't think ever this verdict or this conviction will ever bring peace to the family, I hope that they can take this sigh of relief with me to say that this part of the trial is over, that we got the conviction, that we got the sentence that brings justice for Abby and Libby. A few of the things I am going to say are going to echo what Sheriff Liggett said, what Superintendent Carter said, and what Mike Patty said. But I'd be remiss if I didn't thank some people along the way. Law enforcement, Carroll County Sheriff's Department, Indiana State Police, Department of Natural Resources, all the agencies that assisted in this investigation and the prosecution of the defendant, I want to thank. They were attacked by members on the internet for their integrity. They were called corrupt. They were called evil. And they were called liars. And they weathered that storm with professionalism and did what they could to be a shield for the families. Spent countless hours chasing down leaks of crime scene photos, countless hours attempting to scrub the internet of those crime scene photos, and countless hours trying to protect the family as best as they could. And so to them, ISP, Carroll County Sheriff's Department, DNR, the other agencies that assisted, thank you. We would not be here today if it were not for your efforts and your countless hours that you sacrificed away from your family and your friends to give us the evidence that we needed to get the conviction. I want to thank my team, Stacy Diener, James Luttrell,
There is no way I could have tried this case without them. We spent countless hours working on this case, away from our families, away from our friends, and no one will understand the heart and the effort that they poured into this. So thank you. I want to thank Kathy Shank. She kept us well fed. She was the grandmother of our office, if you will. She made sure that whatever we needed, she took care of, and she never complained. And without her, we would not be here. Without her countless hours of going over filings, of scanning in documents, of looking at reports, and having the wherewithal to bring this to the attention of Sheriff Liggett, to say, hey, I haven't seen this before. Has anybody followed up with this person? Without her, we would not be here. Without her, we would not have an arrest, a conviction, and a sentence. She was the key part to this investigation. The needle in the haystack, if you will, that brought this investigation to a close to where we could make an arrest. Kathy Shank, I thank you. And finally, the family. The Williams, the Germans, the Patties. Thank all you guys. The support you gave me throughout this. Those times when I said you had to abide by the gag order, that you wanted to respond to the things that were being put out there, the allegations against you, against your family members, that you respected me to the point where you were willing to agree to abide by that gag order for the betterment of the case. The fact that you supported me throughout it, and I know there may be times you doubted, but you endured. And without your help, we wouldn't have got the conviction. And without your victim impact statements and the graceful words that you gave to the court about how this has influenced your lives, we wouldn't have got the sentence that we got. 130 years, maximum sentence on each count. So I thank you. Finally, I'd be remiss if I didn't thank Abby and Libby themselves. Libby for recording the defendant as he walked across the bridge, having the wherewithal to pull out her phone and record that individual, having the wherewithal to know that something wasn't right.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Arguably the biggest piece of evidence that we had, that recording of their killer. And then to Abby for hiding the phone from the killer so that he couldn't take it with him, hiding the phone so that law enforcement could find it and get that piece of evidence that Libby had collected. Without the efforts from those two little girls, we wouldn't be here today. So Abby and Libby, thank you. I want to say we're very happy with the jury's verdict. We're elated with the judge's ruling, or not the judge's ruling, the judge's sentence. The sentence is appropriate. As Judge Gull stated in court, the aggravators outweighed the mitigators, and the heinous nature of this crime deserve a fully executed sentence.
You betcha.
I'll end with this. I want to thank the media for keeping this case in the forefront, for keeping the tips coming in for us to investigate. But I will leave you this word of caution. Please, as Superintendent Carter said, the crime scene photos are still out there, and more may be out there in the future. Please, if you receive those, delete those. Don't forward those on. Don't re-victimize the family and the other family members. You can write whatever story you want and report however you want. You do not need those crime scene photos to do so. All it does is re-victimize the families and hurt the reputation of Abby and Libby. So please, if you get those, do not forward those on. If you get any other crime scene photos or autopsy photos or anything, don't forward those on. As Superintendent Carter said, imagine if they were your kids, your grandkids. You can write a story without having those pieces as part of the narrative. So please, do not forward those on. I want to thank the community finally Everybody in the community locally has supported my office, supported law enforcement. The show of support from them has been just unforgettable. I appreciate everything everyone's done. I appreciate the prayers. I appreciate the handshakes, the support, everything that everybody's done throughout this course of the 8-year investigation. When this investigation started, I was actually a defense attorney. I ran for the prosecutor's office in January 1st of 2018, and I knew coming into that office that this case was one that I would have to investigate. And I made it one of my goals not only to investigate it, but to get an arrest, have the trial, and get a conviction. And all the support I had throughout that time, I appreciate it. And so, as Trooper Pierce said, I'm going to answer a few questions. The gag order is lifted. You're more than welcome to talk to anybody up here individually afterwards if they want to talk to you. But I will take a few questions here now. It's not easy. It's hard to put yourself in their shoes because I've never had a child die. And so it was very difficult. It took a lot of phone calls, text messages, meetings. A lot of it was, hey, try not to read that stuff that you see on the internet, which is easier said than done. But a lot of it was just moral support and leaning on each other to say, we can't violate the gag order. Let's keep our eye on the ball. We need to get the trial, and we want to try to get the conviction, and then we can talk. And so it was just a lot of words of encouragement between each other, moral support, text message, phone calls, those kind of things. Go ahead.
What happened with Ms. O'Shea at the end of the hearing? What was that fight about?
It wasn't a fight. She was just commenting about some things that were said at sentencing, and I'm just going to keep those things to myself. Well, I don't know if she got up in my face. I'll just keep those things to myself. She was just commenting on things that were said at the sentencing. Yes, ma'am.
The defense has made it clear they plan to appeal. Your thoughts on their chances?
Well, it's not up to the defense. It's up to the defendant. I'm not going to repeat his name. He's the defendant at this point. And so he has 30 days to file notice with the court that he wants to appeal. If he doesn't file that notice, then there is no appeal. And so once he files that notice, we'll deal with it accordingly. We'll work with the Attorney General's office to represent the state, and we'll give them whatever support that they need in order to draft a response to that appeal.
But I guess given all the questions and you all brought it up here, how frustrating it was, your confidence in the security of this verdict and then this maximum sentence?
I feel confident in the verdict and the sentence. But again, I'm not on the Court of Appeals, so they'll have to make that decision if it comes to them. Sorry, Ms.
Part of 2023, and one of the very first pretrial hearings, you addressed the court because possibly some other actors involved. Can you elaborate?
Well, at this point, we don't believe any other actors are involved. We don't have any evidence to support that. If evidence comes out in the future to support that, we'll obviously investigate that. We're not going to say, hey, no, we got the conviction. We're not listening to what you have to say. But at this point, we have no other evidence showing that any other actors were involved. If Richard Allen himself, the defendant, wants to come forward and give us more information, we'll gladly accept that.
Is that the reason for the amended charges?
The amended charges were we added the 2 counts of intentional murder. I did that because I thought it was appropriate at the time.
Thank you.
Yep.
Can you tell us more about the Anthony shots?
Hold on just a minute. Do you have a question?
Yeah, can you tell us, or maybe asking you to speak on behalf of other people, how it makes you feel with the guilty verdict and the sentence? Obviously, it's the outcome you guys wanted, but how does it make the entire team feel to get to where we are today?
I think, I hate to speak for everybody, but I think, I hate to be cliche and use the word justice, but justice, vindication, to show that the people standing behind me weren't liars, weren't corrupt. You know, those hate mails and hate messages continue to come in from some podcasters, some YouTubers. But I think just justification that, okay, we conducted a clean investigation. We presented the evidence as best we could, and the jury were convinced beyond a reasonable doubt that he was guilty. Yes.
Does this now mean that all the other men are cleared? Can you use that word?
Who is all the other men?
The other men that were looked at during the course of the investigation that you always said you couldn't say that they're cleared. Can you now say they're cleared?
I may not use that word clear, but what I can tell you is we don't have any other evidence that ties them to the offense at this time.
Are you still looking into the Anthony Shots profile in any other secondary investigation?
What do you mean looking into the Anthony Shots profile?
Well, in 2021, you got that information on the user of that profile. Mr. Klein was in custody at that time
Well, it didn't fade it out. He was convicted of what, 34, 35 counts? Not that we have any information of that right now.
Can you speak to the timing of today's sentence? Christmas is 5 days away. This is an emotional time of year for a lot
Sure.
of folks when you've lost people and this kind of thing. Can you?
There's no significance in my mind to the timing. Once a person is convicted, they have a right to be sentenced within 30 days. And so I think the timing just was to try to get it in before the holidays because a lot of people do have time off and and the courthouses are closed. So there's no significance in my mind to the timing, but that it worked in everyone's schedule.
I just mean that it's the time of year when people are with people they love. These two little girls are not with their families today.
I'm not sure I understand your question, but yeah, regardless of the time of the year, I imagine it's hard for the family to not be with the victims any day, whether it's somebody's birthday or somebody's anniversary, the other holidays we have out throughout the year. Christmas is probably especially difficult. Again, I don't expect this verdict or the sentence to bring peace to the Patties, the Germans, or the Williams. I don't know what at this point could ever bring peace to a family member that loses a child or a parent that loses a child. What I hope is what I said. I hope it's a sigh of relief that this portion is over and that the conviction as it is now stands and that he's been sentenced to the maximum possible sentence. I hope that is a sigh of relief for them. And I hope that they now, like Superintendent Carter, can continue to heal and start to put this chapter behind them. That's why the plea to the media, please do not recirculate those pictures, because all that does, as Mr. Erskine said in his victim impact statement, it's like a scab or a wound that scabs over that is constantly ripped open. It's a constant reminder that our loved ones are put in this vulnerable position.
Victor, people face criminal charges or any kind of charges if they do publish or share those.
My opinion is if the Indiana Code allows criminal charges to be pressed for those kind of thing, if something comes in my office, criminal charges will be pursued if the criminal code allows it.
Superintendent Carter, can you speak to the number?
Well, he can ask some questions after we're done here. So
Would you concede that there are some holes in this case or things that cannot be explained? You guys were not able to explain.
I'm not going to concede that. No. Go ahead.
The judge spoke today to the defense's conduct, specifically him rolling his eyes throughout
Sure.
the trial. Your take from your professional perspective, you fight other cases. I'm very watched him throughout the case. What was your reaction down to that?
It's hard for me to see him because the way we were seated, especially during the trial, we were kind of all crammed. We call it the well. We're kind of all crammed in there. So it's kind of hard for me to focus on him. And the way I try cases is I'm pretty focused on what I'm doing, and I try not to get sucked into the reactions of other people. I like to watch what the jury's reactions to certain things are. And so a lot of the stuff that she commented on, I didn't see from him. What I did notice from him is what I said in my sentencing recommendation, just the lack of remorse and the lack of regret, the lack of emotion, I guess, when the images of the victims are put up on the screen. As a father, when I see those things, and you've probably seen me up here and other places, I get a little emotional about it, and it's hard not to. And so the lack of those things kind of struck me. I didn't see him roll in the eyes of the judge, of course, but obviously never a good thing to do. So those are my comments on that. Just one more, then I'll be good. Yeah, sorry.
What piece of evidence, like from his demeanor to any parts of your case, what piece of evidence do you think did it for the jury and then to also elicit this maximum sentence? What do you think got it?
Oh gosh, I don't know what did it for the jury. I think it was a culmination of everything that we had. I think once you start stacking that evidence against him, and as it stacks up, it's hard to say that the defendant isn't bridge guy. And if you can accept that he's bridge guy, you can accept that he's the killer. And that to me is the bottom line. And so.
If you have a message for Richard Allen, you could talk to him face to face right now after all this has been said and done. What would you say to him?
I think I would just echo what the superintendent said and what Sheriff Liggett said and some of the things that were said by the victims' families at court. If he truly wants to apologize to the families and admit to what he's done, now's the time to do that. So.
Can you say today that Carroll County is safer than it was 8 years ago?
I believe so.
What steps have been taken to make it safer?
Well, I think it's safer in the sense that people can have that sigh of relief to say, okay, we got the guy, we got the conviction. And so I think in that sense, it's safer. I've always thought Carroll, I was born and raised here in Carroll County. I left, of course, to go to college and law school, but then I came back. And so this has always been my hometown. It's been my hometown for 3 generations or 4 generations in my family. And so I've always thought it's a safe place. And the things that Sheriff Liggett said, the thing that the victim said, and the sentencing, that wasn't fluff, that we didn't lock our doors and that we knew everybody else. Those are true statements. This is a traditional, small, Midwestern town. And so I think it's always been safe. I think there can be that pressure off of people now to say, okay, I feel better. We got the guy, we got the conviction, and we know he's going to be in prison for 130 years. So
That'll be it for the questions today and for the press conference. I would just like to say thank you for all for coming out. As you go about your day, please remember the most important part of this entire thing, and that's the 2 girls that are behind us today. So as you go about your reporting, please do that and have a safe trip home. Thank you.
Oh, sorry guys. Today was all about Abby and Libby. And I do sincerely, after being in the courtroom, believe that the evidence showed that Richard Allen was the man on the bridge, and that is the man that took the lives of our 2 sweet angels. So I'm trying. Welcome and thank you for joining us on this dual live stream broadcast on the Delphi murders. I host a YouTube channel called Beyond the Evidence. I'm Marv, and together with my good friend and boots on the ground investigative journalist who has been in Delphi since prior for the trial, gathering footage and interviews for the upcoming docuseries, Murder on the Monon. Anthony Greeno from the True Crime Rewind podcast. Go subscribe to this brand new style of true crime where human and artificial intelligence collide. But right now, we're taking a deep dive into the tragic and heroic stories of Abigail Williams and Liberty German. These 2 girls are true heroes in this epic battle for redemption, a long, hard-fought road full of tears, controversy, and criticism, but also love. A love that binds 2 friends together to the end, and a love that kept Delphi strong. Today, we encourage you to raise awareness and be a voice for the victims of unsolved crimes. These are the stories of Abigail Williams and Liberty German.
As we take you beyond the evidence in a True Crime Rewind exclusive, into the Delphi murders.
Welcome back to Beyond the Evidence. Today, we take a heartfelt look at the life of Abigail J. Abby Williams, a young girl whose light continues to shine brightly in the hearts of those who knew and loved her. Abigail Williams was born on June 23, 2003, in Sault Ste. Marie, Michigan. From the very beginning, Abby's joyful spirit and infectious smile brought immense happiness to her family. Her parents, Anna Williams, and her grandparents, Cliff Williams and Becky Patty, adored her deeply. Abby was the only granddaughter of her grandfather, Cliff Williams, who cherished every moment spent with her. Abby had a special bond with her Aunt Maggie, with whom she shared a love for knitting and crafting. Abby was known for her warm heart, creativity, and vibrant personality. She had a passion for arts and crafts, constantly exploring new creative endeavors. She smiled all the time, her mother, Anna Williams, recalls. She had more crafts than you know what to do with. Bracelets, canvases, beads, chalk, paint, you name it. Abby enjoyed being outdoors, a trait she shared with her best friend, Liberty Libby German. They spent countless hours exploring nature, often visiting the Manon High Bridge, a favorite spot for many in their community. In addition to her artistic pursuits, Abby was an active and engaged student at Delphi Community Middle School, where she played the saxophone in the school band and participated on the volleyball team. She was an avid reader and always eager to learn new things. Abby's grandfather, Cliff, fondly remembers their shared love for the Andy Griffith Show and their countless hours spent shopping, watching movies, and simply enjoying each other's company. Abby was my best friend, Cliff recalls. She was right there with me all the time. Abby was just so kind-hearted and pleasant, her mother, Anna Williams, says. She loved to make things to give to people and just loved to be around people. She and Libby were amazing artistic girls who brought so much light to their families, recalls Anna. They were such great kids. In memory of Abby, her family has launched several initiatives to honor her spirit and keep her legacy alive. One of these initiatives is the Abby's Angels Shoebox Project, where boxes filled with toys, school supplies, and hygiene products are sent to children in need. Additionally, the Abby Williams and Libby German Memorial Park, complete with ball fields and an amphitheater, stands as a testament to their love for the arts and sports. I see beautiful things for our park and our community, says Anna. A place where joy can live, right where you can see joy and remember Abby. Abigail Williams's life was tragically cut short, but her memory continues to inspire and bring people together. Through the efforts of her family and the community, Abby's legacy of love, creativity, and kindness endures.
Anthony and I wouldn't be where we are today without the story of Abby and Libby. Their story inspired us to stand up for the truth, demand accountability and transparency, and advocate for those affected by tragedy. To seek justice, not just for Abby and Libby, but for all victims of crime. Their journey has been a catalyst for our own paths. Abby and her family have helped me how to better handle situations when sensitive topics are being discussed. I found that it's easy to hurt the feelings of another, even with good intentions. They've taught me how to think longer term before making comments and public information.
I wouldn't be who I am today without Abby and Libby, and the loss of my best friend, Michael J. Catt. This case has taught me a lot about journalism, activism, and community involvement. The family of Abby and Libby give me strength, knowing that they too care and help others in the midst of pain and sorrow. There is always hope for tomorrow. This has ultimately led me to be able to maintain confidentiality, to protect information that preserves the integrity of the case. Thank you, Abby, Anna, Eric, and Diane. And from the bottom of my heart, I'm so sorry for anything I've ever said that may have inadvertently affected you in a negative manner. I hope this closes a chapter, and you continue to stand proud that the girls received justice. Marv's journey has led her along a similar path, but her love for the people of the Hoosier State is beyond reproach. Together, we form an alliance built around care, trust, and respect. Compassion fuels the fire as we seek the answers.
Thank you for joining our live stream today. If you like the content, then consider subscribing to both Anthony Greeno and Marv, super chats, and stickers welcomed. Highlight your question or comment for priority status on immediate responses directly from the hosts. You can also contribute on Cash App and PayPal. These donations are what funds our true crime endeavors for traveling to assist with missing persons, unsolved murders, and other true crime stories that are trending now.
Okay, everyone, let's jump back into the studio with Marv and on scene in Delphi, Indiana at the Carroll County Circuit Court with true crime investigative journalist Anthony Greeno. This is the sentencing hearing for Delphi Murders Bridge Guy in the Down the Hill double murder case against Richard Allen.
You're watching and listening to
A dual live stream broadcast
brought to you by Microsoft, Copilot 2, 11 Labs, Opus Clip, and StreamYard.
The power of connectivity.
All right, everyone. That was the story of Abby. Now I have one to play for Libby. Hello, and welcome to another episode of Beyond the Evidence. I'm Marv, and together with my good friend Anthony Greeno from True Crime Rewind, we're taking a deep dive into the tragic and heroic stories of Abigail Williams and Liberty German. These two girls are true heroes in this epic battle for redemption, a long, hard-fought road full of tears, controversy, and criticism, but also love, a love that binds two friends together to the end, and a love that kept Delphi strong. Today, we encourage you to raise awareness and be a voice for the victims of unsolved crimes. These are the stories of Abigail Williams and Liberty German.
As we take you beyond the evidence in a true crime rewind exclusive into the Delphi murders.
Welcome back to Beyond the Evidence. Today, we honor the life of a remarkable young girl whose light continues to inspire many. This is the story of Liberty German. Liberty Rose Lynn German, lovingly known as Libby, was born on December 27, 2002, in Lafayette, Indiana. She was the beloved daughter of Carrie Timmons and Derek German, and the granddaughter of Mike and Becky Patty, as well as Brad and Terry German. Libby also had a close-knit family that included her sisters Kelsey German, Glenna Myers, Alexis Timmons, and Hayden Timmons. Described by those who knew her as curious, kind, and full of life, Libby was a typical teenager with big dreams. She was deeply passionate about science, even taking classes at Purdue University, with aspirations of becoming a science teacher one day. Her grandfather, Mike Patty, often recounted how Libby loved to conduct experiments and craft projects, showcasing her inventive mind. Her love of the band, playing her instrument, and music in general was also a passion of Libby's. Libby loved spending time outdoors, especially with her best friend, Abigail Williams. Whether they were hiking, taking pictures, or just hanging out, nature was a significant part of her life. Her love for photography was evident in the countless photos she took of flowers, landscapes, and cherished moments with loved ones. Her grandmother, Becky Patty, shared, "We were always amazed at what she was able to see through her lens." Sports were another important aspect of Libby's life. She played volleyball, softball, soccer, and was also a swimmer. Her former softball coach, Bridget Stevens, fondly remembered Libby's enthusiasm. Even if you were having a bad game, Libby would try to get everyone back in a better mood. Her family spoke about the excitement she had for the upcoming softball season, a passion that was tragically cut short. Libby had a remarkable ability to make others feel good. Her grandfather, Mike Patty, remembered how she always tried to brighten people's days. Libby's mother, Carrie Timmons, shared how her daughter's presence of mind led to capturing crucial evidence during their darkest hours, calling her a hero. Creative and generous, Libby was known for her baking skills, quickly whipping up batches of cookies for everyone to enjoy. She also loved painting and crafting, often making personalized gifts for her teachers and family. Her Aunt Tara German shared, "Libby left thoughtful notes and made sure to spread kindness wherever she went." In Libby's spare time, she enjoyed spending time with her family, friends, and siblings. Whether it was playing catch, going on family vacations, or staging fun photo shoots with her sister Kelsey, Libby's life was filled with love and joy. Her ability to touch the lives of those around her has left a lasting impact. Today, Libby's memory is honored through various initiatives, including a scholarship fund and a softball field in her name. The community's outpouring of support and the tireless efforts of her family continue to keep her legacy alive. Liberty German's story is a testament to a life lived with passion, kindness, and a love for learning. Her legacy continues to inspire and remind us of the importance of cherishing every moment with our loved ones.
Anthony and I wouldn't be where we are today without the story of Abby and Libby. Their story inspired us to stand up for the truth, demand accountability and transparency, and advocate for those affected by tragedy. To seek justice, not just for Abby and Libby, but for all victims of crime. Their journey has been a catalyst for our own paths.
I wouldn't be who I am today without Abby and Libby, and the loss of my best friend, Michael J. Catt. This case has taught me a lot about patience, pride, and perseverance. Marv's journey has led her along a similar path, but her love for the people of the Hoosier State is beyond reproach. Together, we form an alliance built around care, trust, and respect. Compassion fuels the fire as we seek the answers.
It's clear that these two have made an impact, not just on Marv and Greeno, but millions of people around the globe. In honor of their memory, Marv and Greeno, along with a few others, have dedicated a memorial near the center section of the trail, one that those from afar could contribute to. It's the sight we all see in the news. The sign and that photo. Did you know that Greeno is the one who made that? He also gave one to both families of the girls. And in return, they gave him bracelets that he gave to those who came and bear witness to the historical story that tells a remarkable story. The image is marking a haunting reminder of the devastation felt these last nearly 8 years, but also a testament to the truth, giving hope that we would lead here to this very day and minute. Right now, the sentencing for the man responsible for claiming the lives of these two precious souls. Today is a glimpse of closure, but in a sense, that never really comes. But this is the final moment where we can all say, for the final time, today is the day.
Okay, everyone, let's jump back into the studio with Marv and on scene in Delphi, Indiana at the Carroll County Circuit Court with true crime investigative journalist Anthony Greeno. This is the sentencing hearing for Delphi Murders Bridge Guy in the Down the Hill double murder case against Richard Allen.
You're watching.
All right, everybody. I just wanted to share that with you. I didn't have a chance to do it earlier. So those were a couple things that we had made for the girls, and it's all about them. They are the reason why we are here. And it's for the other missing and unsolved murder cases that are out there. So, with that being said, I will be back online here shortly. I promise you, my back is getting better. And I won't keep fighting, or I won't stop fighting for these victims and for those who are missing. Got a bunch of stuff coming up. Hopefully the back will agree with me and cooperate, and I can come on here and tell you more of their stories. Thank you for joining us today, and I'll see you soon. Don't forget, today is all about these precious girls and the lives that they lived and how those lives were cut short. Today, we got justice for Abby and for Libby. With that being said, have a good afternoon. Bye.